In this last video, what we're going to do is export our program so that you see how the Adobe Media Encoder works and how to export it to the formats that you need. If I go to export, I need to make sure that I am on the final timeline. Go to File, Export, Media, and you'll see that it comes up with a default, and the default is Microsoft AVI. The preset says DV, and you do want to make sure that you're using DV widescreen if you're using a widescreen video. And you might want to look at the output just to make sure, because you'll notice if I go back to the DV, notice that it gives me the black bars on my output versus the source. And that will show me basically how this is going to output the video, what it will look like. If I go to the widescreen, you'll notice that I don't get those black bars. So what is this particular look with the black bars in the top and bottom? That's when it's called letterboxing. So I'll go to the widescreen view. Let's look at the video real quick. It says that it's saving it as DV NTSC. It's showing all the basic settings of the height and width and field types and aspect ratios and everything else. It's showing my audio settings and the fact that it's 48 kilohertz at 16-bit stereo audio. And of course, we're not going to be FTPing it. So pretty much when you use one of the presets, it's got all the other settings done for you. I'm going to click OK, and it will actually start outputting my video. Now, since we're going to be exporting this in the exact same format that we're editing in, it's going to go super quick, because all it's really needing to do is grab that preview footage that it's already created and just put it into a file and start. So you'll see, watch how fast this goes. It's loading the project. So you'll have to make sure that you save your project before you do your export. It's loading the project, and once it's loaded this and it says encoding, notice how fast it goes. That's one of the things that is really nice about outputting something or exporting it in the format that you're editing in, is that it generally goes very, very quick. Until we get to a certain point. And right now it could be dealing with audio or something like that it's having to reconfigure. So it's now done. We can go ahead and close that. And if I go and look in the folder, let's see, this is Premiere file. There is the final video, and it's 160 megs. Now that's probably a little bit large for what you guys need to submit, but it's a nice high quality video. So now what I want to do is export this in a format which is a little bit smaller, more compressed, and is still pretty high quality. So we're going to be going into using a preset. Let me go make sure I'm on the timeline. That I think is really high quality. If we go to format, we're going to go to this H.264 format. And the H.264 format is the high quality video that everyone's talking about. It's an MPEG-4 style video, or that's the codec that it uses, and it's the one that whenever people are talking about what's happening with HTML5 and video players online, and all the phones and everything else are now using H.264 video as the type of video. I mean, your cell phones, let's see, what is it, the iPhones, the iPads, even the Google phones, they all have a chip that is made in order to decode H.264 video. So that's why this video is actually the one that everybody's using. The presets for it, you'll even see, have things like Apple iPod Video Large, which is a really nice video size. If we go to our output though, you'll notice that it has some black bars on the top and bottom, and that's because it has 640 by 480 as its standard size. Your frame rate right now is the 30. We might take it down to 29.97 just so it's the same as the others. I am going to click on the constrain height and width and change it from 640 by 480 to 640 by 360. And I just hit enter, which is not what I wanted to do. Because it's now actually going to be encoding for me. So it's okay, because here's one of the nice things. Even though I exported that from Premiere, it still comes up with the settings here, so I can still modify things after the fact. As long as I have not pressed encode, it's not going to be doing anything yet. And you'll see here's the 480 by or 640 by 360 video, and that looks a little bit better. There still is a little bit of black bars on the top and bottom. I think it was 356 or something that cut it away. I don't even know if it'll ever even show me exactly the size. Yeah, I never saw any difference between the 640 by 360. Ah, there we go. 356. 348. Trying to get it so that we have perfect bars. One way to possibly do it is to go ahead and do some math. If we take 16 and we divide it by 9, actually 16 divided by 9 equals 1.7, or let's say 9 divided by 16 equals 0.5625. Now all we have to do is take our largest dimension, which is 640, multiply it times 0.5625, and we equal 360. And that's why I chose 360, because that's 16 by 9. And yet it still gives me those bars. So the point of this is that exporting video to the size that you want is not an exact science. It never has been an exact science. Why? I have no idea. But if I choose the 640 by 360, that seems to be the closest, even though it still shows me in this output that I have a little bit of black on the top and the bottom, which is really what I was trying to get rid of. Now, the audio thing next to it is the type of audio that we're exporting, which is the advanced audio codec, stereo 48 kilohertz, high quality, which is good. Our multiplexer is telling us what type of video we're going to output, and that's going to be MP4, which is our standard type of H.264 video. The 3GP, anybody know what that is? That's for mobile phones, but that means that we need to use really small sizes, like a maximum width of 300 pixels or 256 pixels or something. Filters we won't worry about, and others like F2P we won't worry about. So the only thing that we've really changed was changing our frame height from 640 by 480 to 640 by 360, but we did have to click off the constrain width and height. I also did change my frame rate so it matches the original frame rate instead of taking it to 30 frames itself. The pixel aspect ratio correction is set to square pixels. Beneath here, we have VBR 1 pass, we have CBR, and we have VBR 2 pass. Do you know what the difference between those is? CBR is constant bit rate, and that's actually a really good thing. VBR is variable bit rate, but you'll see that we can do it either in 1 pass or 2 pass. The benefit of 2 pass is that it runs through encoding the video twice. The first time it's able to analyze the video, and the second time it does a better job of encoding it by using the information it learned from the first encoding process. Just kind of interesting. Like where to place keyframes for when video changes with a cut or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and use CBR, And the one that you see here is basically 1 megabit per second. And you'll see if we go to like 0.5, that would be like half of a meg per second. So I'm going to just keep it at the 1 because that's kind of nice. We'll click OK, and I am now ready to start this queue. Now I know that's a pretty lengthy description of what the encoding process is like, but you know that knowing about all the technical sides of video is really necessary for you to be able to export that video in the format you need and the size you need and understand all the different options that you get. So it's a very technical field from that standpoint. When I'm done though, this should create a much smaller file, and it should still be pretty high quality because that's the benefit of using that H.264 codec, is that it's a really high quality codec and it still creates a pretty small file. So it's almost done here. Now that it's done, I can go ahead and close this file, go to my folder, and there is my final video, which is all of 6 megs now. And if I open that, I can open it with QuickTime, or I'll just use the Media Player Classic I've been using. You'll see it's got a little bit of black on the top and bottom, but that's pretty nice looking. So the nice thing about this codec is it makes a much, much smaller file, but it's still large enough that we get a nice high quality video from it. And when you're using that 16:9 ratio, we want to kind of retain that if possible and probably not have big black bars in the top and bottom. So that's why we went to cutting it the way we did. And that really concludes what you need for your project. What you'll be submitting, of course, is only the required files, which will be your Premiere project file. So it's a good idea for you to save your Premiere project file and close Premiere before you zip up anything. So you'll need your Premiere project file, your output video, and your script. And that's it. That's all you need to submit. Everything else is just for you. That's it. Thanks.